Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 13, Episode 8. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Glad you guys are back with us here for this Monday show. Dave, one game, preseason game in the books, one victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 32-25 over the Seattle Seahawks on Saturday night. So after all the camp speculation and commentary and my reports, finally watching this group inside the stadium, really a fun game overall, really exciting. You know, the game-winning drive by Kenny Pickett we'll talk about. So I thought for a first game, really quality and a lot to learn from, of course.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe I say this every year, maybe I do, but for a first preseason game, mighty entertaining, I thought, overall. I mean, especially you get it down to the end there and needing a game-winning drive and actually getting it, and just the overall excitement, and obviously knowing the full roster of players, thanks to you and thanks to all the work that we do during the off season and all. I was in tune from the first snap to the last snap, obviously there. So an exciting night. Glad the game was in Pittsburgh. Glad that Kenny Pickett gave the fans something to cheer about. They were really hopped up for him, and with good reason. And it would have been a bummer had that thing ended in like a tie or had they ended up losing that thing. But very enjoyable. We already got the all 22 in our possession, and I mean that's like Christmas to me. First time you get that during the preseason.
You used a different word on Twitter last night, referring to what that was like for you, an X-rated version of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's probably not appropriate to say because there are probably people that dare to let their kids listen to this. But all right, with that, Kenny. Now, where do we start?
I guess we should start with Kenny Pickett. I do want to talk about injury report here in a moment, and also just want to mention Dave and I recording this here on Sunday night because camp is Monday, just easier for us to really, feel like we're not rushed talking about the game. So if anything major happens from Sunday night to Monday morning, we will not address that. We can address that on the maybe post-camp show. But you have to start with Kenny Pickett, I think. Ran the whole second half and was incredibly effective and efficient. 13 for 15, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns, 16 yards on the ground, and had the game-winning touchdown to Tyler Vaughns with 3 seconds left. And so you could not really draw that up any better if you're Kenny Pickett for a game number one.
Wait a minute. This is being recorded on the 14th, the night late on the 14th, and tomorrow's the 15th. So I believe that's your anniversary on Steelers Depot, is it not?
Oh, yeah. Hey, you remembered. I've been remembering and then forgetting. Yes, Monday the 15th is the 2013 was the first article of Jarvis Jones's debut. I think Kenny Pickett's debut was a bit better than Jarvis Jones, and hopefully that continues.
And let me just say, your breakdown of Kenny Pickett was a lot better than your
I would hope so. Thank you.
9 years ago you were born on Depot at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on August 15th, 2013. 9 years. How old were you then?
Oh God, 2013. I was. I'm super tired right now, but I was in college. I
told you, math. You were told no math would be part of this, right?
I'm sticking by that.
All right. Happy anniversary.
I was 20. I guess I was 20.
Wow.
2013. Yeah. Born in 93. So.
All right. So if you're listening to this on Monday, the 15th, shout Alex out on Twitter. Wish him a happy Depot anniversary at Alex_Kozora. Okay. Now that I got that out of the way, where were we?
Yeah, Pickett's debut better than my writing debut, and it wasn't obviously the high end, like super flashy plays, but to me, I didn't need that for a game number one. I wanted foundational stuff, baseline stuff, and Pickett ran the show with composure, with effectiveness. He was on time. His anticipation was really good. The biggest thing to me, and I'm sorry to dove into this right away, but I noted the first week of camp and the stats last year on Kenny Pickett was holding onto the ball too long. His last year at Pitt in 2021, 3.19 snap to time throw. But the first week of camp, pretty similar to that if I had to guesstimate it. Last night against Seattle, or 2 nights ago against Seattle, it was 2.04 seconds on average snap to throw time. And that's some of that's design, some of that's structure, the rollouts and quick game and stuff like that. But overall, I thought Pickett was really decisive, got the ball out on time. And that was the biggest thing he could have done last night.
Absolutely, it was. And look, this is what I put on the Twitter machine after going through the first run back through the TV copy last night. I put they did a great job tonight of putting Kenny Pickett in situations that he was comfortable with, and he delivered a big confidence booster for him tonight. Seemed very comfortable from the first snap to the last snap, almost like he had played in that stadium before. And obviously he had played in that stadium before, but I really thought that they did a good job of staying with obviously knowing what his strengths were and playing to those strengths and really putting him in a good situation to succeed. Now, obviously, he had to make plays, and he did. And look, he showed a lot of things in that game. The mobility, had a couple of nice escapes that really was nice to see and really instrumental in a couple of those drives. On top of it, there, I thought. As you mentioned, him making his decisions a lot quicker this time, getting the football out of his hands, seemed fairly accurate overall. I think the two more than 10 yards down the field were incomplete, but there are a couple of real money throws, impressive throws with him over to the right sideline, I thought, and I think one of them might have even been from the other hash where
the one to Cody White.
Right, where it was even an anticipatory throw too. He was throwing his receivers open, not throwing to open receivers. And I thought that was very impressive. Just good decisions, took care of the football, looked super, super comfortable in that. And I mean, he had to come out of that game, especially game-winning drive and touchdown late in that. He had to. I mean, that had to be a super big confidence booster for him now going into this next practice. I imagine how mundane it probably is through training camp and going against the same unit. And they probably got a little bit of a beat on what you're trying to do. And obviously the defense is better than the Steelers offense, more days than not there. So, no, we're not going to put him in the Pro Football Hall of Fame just yet. I don't want to get into third string, second string. You play who you're going to play with, and you still have to make those plays. Right. And he did that, and I think he should be commended for that. And once again, I think that they did an excellent job of game planning and putting him in situation to be successful, and he took advantage of that and delivered.
And even that touchdown throw to Vaughns, I think that was a field side throw as well. That was on the money and on time. And when Pickett released that ball, Vaughns was just coming out of his break. And so as he got his head around, he made the catch, and that allowed him to turn upfield, shake the corner, and finish the play into the end zone. What I liked the most, and I thought the most telling part of it all, was not one particular throw or play from Kenny Pickett. It was just that last sequence. The Mike Tomlin let Kenny Pickett run that show. I mean, it's on that touchdown to Vaughn, it's a running clock. There's like 10 seconds left, one timeout. Tomlin's not interfering and calling the timeout, or let's play it safe and run a quick draw and get the field goal unit out there, get Nick Skeep out there to kick it. Letting Pickett run the show. And he did that beautifully. And that speaks to a lot of, I think, partial confidence, but also just a test of, let's find out what this guy has inside a stadium in that moment. Can you handle the 2-minute drill with a timeout and balance the sideline and get the ball out quickly and not make a mistake? And Pickett pass with flying colors. I had the analogy of, Tomlin gave Pickett the keys to the car, and he drove it home, put it in the garage without a scratch. And he was just beautiful that last drive. Yeah,
and I can't emphasize more just how comfortable he looked, and I mean, it was good. I mean, I don't know what else you want other than that, he completed a string of 9-10 passes in a row, and obviously put them into the end zone, and then the game winning drive on top of that, with a lot of guys that, let's face it, aren't going to make NFL rosters this year. So there's something to be said about all that. Now you can get into a lot of the minutia about about it mostly being a lot of shorter passes, but I think it was probably designed a lot of that. Look, it wasn't anything super complicated that they did last night, right?
No.
It was very, very vanilla type stuff, and it was more about executing the stuff the simple stuff that and then going from there. And I thought he did. I don't see how you can. I don't see how you can put any kind of real negative spin on. There weren't any almost interceptions or anything like that. Yeah, you would like to throw in the football a little bit more down the field, and I think that's probably going to be the next step in the progression that they go with him. Is okay. Now let's push it down the field a little bit more, like that. But great decisions, and as you mentioned, poised throughout the thing, and the moment, even at the end of the game, wasn't too big for him.
You have to walk before you run. You have to be able to run the base install stuff of Matt Canada's offense before we worry about maybe some of the other high-level stuff down the field. The first play of Kenny Pickett's NFL career was a split flow boot to the right side. It just hits Jay Sternberger, 11-yard gain. You're going to see that play 4,700 times this year run by the Steelers offense. And that's not a high-level play, but it just, can you do Mike Tomlin uses the phrase of, can you hit the layups? Kenny Pickett hit all the layups and hit a couple of shots on the baseline as well. And so, yeah, there wasn't maybe that one tremendous wow throw deep down the field, but you're doing all the basic stuff, the foundational things, the quarterback play in terms of no mistakes, taking care of the football, good reads, decisions, pocket presence, ball placement, overall accuracy. Those are the things that matter most. Those are the things that even Patrick Mahomes has to do before you talk about anything else above that. Pickett used his legs effectively as well. And so you're right, that's the next step, is to make some of those plays plus 15 yards down the field. But all I cared about Saturday night was just doing the foundational things of quarterback play, ball security, carrots, stuff like that. And he was darn near flawless. The only thing you could argue is that fourth down play where he took the sack. You don't want to take the sack there, but obviously he's trying to make a play because it's fourth down. So there's a little, give and take there. But that was maybe the only thing you could potentially argue last night. And if that's the worst moment, then that's a pretty good day.
I agree.
But I thought overall the all three quarterbacks played well. I think Trubisky and Pickett might have been the better two compared to Rudolph, but I thought all three were really good on Saturday night. And I thought Rudolph, well, let's start with Trubisky in terms of the opening possession, leads his team down the field, showing accuracy, showing mobility. I made the joke and people yelled at me for it for saying Mitch Trubisky showed more mobility that drive than Big Ben had the last 5 years. Wasn't trying to take a shot at Ben. It's just the reality of it's nice to have a mobile quarterback, a guy that can move. There was that one play where the free rusher came in, Trubisky broke the tackle and turned what would be a 5-yard sack into a 4-yard gain. And so that was nice to see. Gunnar Olszewski, blown coverage, wide open left corner, but I thought Trubisky was effective and certainly did nothing to hurt his case to be the Steelers starter week 1, which I still fully believe he will be the guy against the Bengals.
Right. And once again, I think Matt Canada, they did a great job of putting him in a position to succeed as well too. Now, I think the second snap of the game, Kendrick Green let his man through, and he took I think Mitch took some contact on that and had to kind of rush that throw. I think that was maybe to Raider there, but once again, took care of the football and showed some of that mobility, and he did. In his 7 total attempps, he was able to push the football down the field a little bit. Now, one of them was obviously a gimme layup on the blown coverage on Gunnar Olszewski in the end zone, but you still have to make that throw. You still have to avoid and get yourself in a position to make that throw, and he did it. So, yeah, no complaints whatsoever about the job that he did either.
Was it him or Mason that had to throw to Connor Hayward on the over route on a really good throw and catch? I'm trying to remember if that was Trubisky or Mason Rudolph. Do you remember by chance?
I thought
the play I'm talking about?
Yeah, on the over. Wasn't that? I thought that was Connor, wasn't it?
No, I know it was Connor who threw it, though. Was it Trubisky or was it Mason Rudolph? I can't remember who the quarterback was in that moment.
I will be able to tell you in just a minute because I got my sheets right here.
Yeah, if you could look that up. That was a great catch by Connor Hayward, but I thought a really good throw in terms of placement, leading him away. And so the defender really had no chance to make a play on the ball. Either Connor was going to catch it or it was going to be a pass.
That was Trubisky, right?
Okay.
Short right for what was it, 16 yards?
That sounds right. So, that was a high-level throw again. Mobility outside the pocket, plays within it, lead a scoring drive. Rudolph lead a scoring drive on a beautiful deep ball that was caught by George Pickens, and then Kenny Pickett with the game-winning touchdown there. So I thought all three quarterbacks were effective. 32 points for the Steelers offense, most they've scored in a preseason game since the 2018 preseason finale. And it's just a preseason game, but you just saw the offense overall be effective, great big plays, both run game, pass game, overall take care of the football. You're hitting all the right notes.
Yeah, I thought Rudolph played it well as well, but he had the most mistakes. He had the most the throws that kind of get away with kind of throws there. Obviously, one of those interceptions or one of those should have probably been picked off and was dropped. And off to a rough start with Dan Moore giving up the edge and the strip sack right out of the chute, and then obviously and predictably not having the crowd on him right away. I thought he stayed poised, and I mean you couldn't drop that ball in the bucket to Pickens back there in that corner of that end zone any better. And boy, if he doesn't connect on that for whatever reason, the boos get louder. I think for whatever reason there. So you finished the drive there. There were obviously a couple of throws that he would like to have back, but when you look at his want to push the football down the field, the stats and the completions, the intended air yards and the completed air yards stack up with that as well too. I mean, he knows he's kind of probably a lame duck in a sense in this competition, overall, fighting a new veteran on one side and a rookie first round draft pick on the other side. He knows his long-term future's not in Pittsburgh. So that's and obviously he probably would have, if you would have gave him his druthers, he probably would have won to open on the road. But I'm with you. I think the quarterback, I think Trubisky and Pickett were the better quarterbacks of the three overall. And I mean, not that passer ratings hold up in today's advanced statistics world, but he did have 100 something quarterback rating overall, and all three of your quarterbacks did. And they. Even though there was one interception dropped, there was no turnovers in that. So I think just looking at quarterback play as a whole, I thought it was a fantastic night.
Me too, for a first game especially. I know those are more veteran guys than Trubisky and Rudolph, but still you're playing with some rookie players and new offensive linemen, just newness of it all. And so I think that was impressive. The near interception that Rudolph threw, I saw the quote after I posted the clip of it. Connor Hayward on that play. It's tough to see on the broadcast. You see it clearer on the all-22. Hayward stopped basically. He was settling down, thinking more zone coverage. Rudolph wanted him to continue to run through. Even had Hayward run through, that would have been a tougher catch. There would have been contact there, I know, but it would have not been a near interception or anything close to that. I think it would have looked a lot better if you imagine if Hayward keeps running across. So a miscommunication. Was that Rudolph's best decision ever? Maybe not. I think that clock was going off and he had gone through all of his reads. I think that was an overall not nearly as negative of a play on Rudolph as many people think. I thought his two worst throws, the incompletion to Steven Sims in the low red zone. Probably if he could have waited a tick longer and he had the time to let Sims kind of work through that trash, probably hit Sims for a touchdown. And then later he missed Hayward high down the right seam. There was some A-gap pressure, but still a throw that I would consider that to be a miss by Rudolph. So he did, I think, have more mistakes, but that's really just because Kenny Pickett and Trubisky had essentially no mistakes.
Right. Yeah. While he did, obviously, and it's easy to point out some of the bad decisions that Rudolph made. That throw to Miles Boykin in the end zone, tightly contested kind of coverage there. Some might want to say even some pass interference there, but that ball was up on Miles Boykin, and you put it there and put it right in his hands there. That could have just as easily been a touchdown too. So, that ball, he put that ball on Boykin quick coming out of that break there. It was a nicely thrown ball. I don't know. Have you seen, you can't really even tell because of the back, his back kind of to you in the all 22. Would you call that a drop?
When was that exactly? I'm trying to think back to that play.
Wasn't it the play before the play to Sims?
Okay, so it'd have been late in the half.
In the red zone there?
It's not coming back to me right now.
I've got a, this is the good thing about doing these things while on the Twitter machine. I can send you a GIF of it real quick. You don't remember the play in general, or it was that quick slant? Was
that the one to Sims?
No, that was Boykin.
Before that.
Boykin was the one in the end zone. I'm sending you that right now. Okay. Look at it.
All right. Let me check here. I'm sure it's just been a long day here and a long night last night. Oh yeah, I know what you were talking about. Yeah, I would call that a drop. I think Boykin could have made that play.
Let me send you a still from the TV tape there.
Yeah, he's got to catch that one.
Yeah. So does the narrative change much if Boykin catches that? Because they stalled there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Maybe some. I don't get too caught up in what people would say or narratives and all that. I would say just with Rudolph, I know everyone recognizes how good of a play that was to George Pickens on the touchdown, but just how about the Steelers getting themselves out of that hole? Because that was the first play where you had the strip sack where Dan Moore got beat. So you're in 2nd and 20 at that point. Not too many times you're getting touchdowns out of 2nd and 20. So to respond to that, you get a good run by McFarland, put you in 3rd and 12, come away with a touchdown. You're not scoring there too often. Defense usually, if they went on first down like that, they're going to get off the field or get the stop. And so I thought just the overall context of getting a touchdown there was really impressive.
Right. Now, look, I went into this after the draft and all like that with them having the 2 new quarterbacks and obviously Trubisky on top of it all, thinking, man, is Mason even going to get time in the preseason? Well, he got a lot of time, didn't he? And now the question, the big talk, I'm sure this week on the talk radio and all will be, should Kenny Pickett get a chance with the second team against the Jaguars?
Yeah, it's a fair question, and it may happen. I think in terms of who's going to be I think Trubisky's still the number one, and still comfortably so after this game, and is probably going to be the odds-on favorite to remain in that seat for Week 1 against the Bengals. The question is, who's your number 2? Is it Rudolph or is it Pickett? You may let that thing just go out to the wire, and not. There's no need for a decision now or tomorrow or next week, and so those guys might just continue to battle, but Pickett certainly
if you believe Tomlin saying he's not going to make a decision off of every throw or whatnot, going to let it kind of play out, I would tend to think that he would keep the same order this week.
Yeah, he might. I know this will be kind of more of the tune-up game. At least I assume that it will be. So I imagine we'll see more of Trubisky and a little less of the backups until a bit later.
I don't know. You think so? Because you got a little bit of a longer break between.
Well, last year they used I know they played 4 games last year, but they didn't use the finale as the tune-up game. They used the game before as the tune-up game, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay. So that's my expectation, at least. Maybe that changes. I know they're on the 3-game schedule for the first time.
All right. But overall, the quarterback play, I mean, you have to dig deep into some of those throws by Rudolph to get to some negative there.
Right. So I just thought overall really high level for the first time out, just all the newness of it all. What were your thoughts overall on the Matt Canada run offense? Did it feel different to you compared to last year? Did it feel kind of the phrase I had more of, where it was the same ideas, but just more of it, I guess you could say? How did you overall get a feeling for Canada and kind of maybe his first year?
Well, look, we saw quarterbacks under center. We saw 7 or 8 play actions. We saw quarterbacks on the boot. We saw, by the way, the motion timing seemed a lot less clunkier than it did last year during the preseason. It looked like the timing on the motion was good. Mm-hmm. Look, they didn't get to run a lot of what Matt Canada really likes to do last year. And we know why, and right. But in the same breath, though, it was still had a vanilla nature to it, which it should, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I
mean,
it
look,
was.
I don't think we saw any power, did we? A lot, any pulling guards or anything like that. But I, obviously saw some misdirection, the age-old split zone. Just only this time with some boots and all like that, and inside zone and some duo blocking up front. So, I mean, it's not like you're reinventing the wheel here, right? But a few more 2 tight end sets, I think, overall. I mean, they had a lot of tight ends on the field. It felt like most of the night, but a lot of the stuff, it seemed like there was some level stuff to one side quite a bit, right? To give the quarterbacks a little bit of an option there on some stuff. So I wouldn't say it was greatly exaggerated different, but I think it's because you had the personnel in there to do some of the things that you'd like to add on top of it.
Right. No, I agree. I think it wasn't anything dramatically different from last year. It just was a lot more of and more effective overall. I saw a lot of, 3 receiver stacks and bunches and stuff like that to create free releases. They work on that in camp. So maybe that was a little bit new overall. Some of the toss game stuff felt a little new as well. That's probably more Pat Meyer influence there. Some of the fake dives and tosses and things like that. But yeah, I thought overall it just, was all the hallmarks of the Canada run offense. A lot of play action, a lot of under center work, boots and nakeds and rollouts and changing launch points and things like that. All things you would expect. Maybe a little less motion than I thought, but still some of it obviously in some trades and things like that. And again, it is just the first game, so you're trying to maybe keep it more simple on these guys, just so they just run what's being called. Yeah,
a handful of jets in there and all, and stuff that you would expect with Matt Canada.
Right, like you said, I thought the timing, because I know last year in the opener there was some timing issues on some of the jet runs and stuff. Yeah. And it felt, that little quick jet to Steven Sims was quick, and it like how they do it in camp, just really quick. You almost don't realize it for a second that he has the football. So that was really well executed.
There's been times in the past where it feels like the wide receivers almost being passed behind the quarterback before, getting the ball. But the timing, I didn't find because guys, that's one thing that really stuck out to me. Really, the whole preseason, I think last year was, timing on some of these, jets and all like that, just off.
Right. So top 3 quarterbacks played. Of course, no stats for Chris Oladokun, which is no surprise. It would have been a shock had he played because he's not gotten a single rep. And so I assume that'll be the case going forward. But top 3 quarterbacks, excellent.
And I don't think the scenario could have worked out any better for Mike Tomlin with this, because didn't he even say in the press conference the other day that Kenny Pickett would, and obviously Mike Tomlin qualifies that and said, don't hold me to it. But I think probably the initial plan was probably around late in the third quarter or fourth quarter for Kenny Pickett. But because the 2 quarterbacks played so well overall, and got enough snaps, they were able to get Kenny Pickett in the game right away in the second half.
Right.
And that's ideal, because you want to give Kenny as much time as possible.
Definitely. It felt like Trubisky and Rudolph played less than what maybe I anticipated. I know Tomlin outlined roughly first quarter for the starters, and second string would be more second, third quarter, third string to finish out the game. So it was a little less than, but I think the script worked excellent and in Pittsburgh's favor.
Absolutely.
All right, let's look at running backs now. Shorter lines, although Mateo Durant did play a little bit in this one. Anthony McFarland getting the start. No Najee Harris, no Benny Snell. Jalen Warren ended up kind of running the show in that middle portion. Master Teague finishing things out. To me, McFarland, I know Jalen Warren's going to get a lot of the buzz for the power and the broken tackles that he had and a couple of catches as well. Of course, catching Kenny Pickett's first touchdown. I thought McFarland was the best back overall, showing vision, showing burst, showing the ability to create one-on-one. That one long run he had left side where he breaks a couple tackles on, I think it was a more toss to the left, and he's able to work through some of that trash there and had good ball security, and Jalen Warren did not. And so to me, that was made McFarland the best player in terms of the running backs last night, and kind of continues his good camp. And oh boy, did he need a good camp, and he's having one.
If you take away that Jalen Warren fumble, how do these guys rank? Or is that impossible to do?
Well, I mean, that's like, your joke of, besides everything else, how was the play, right, Mrs. Lincoln? You can't take that stuff away. And the second, because Tomlin hates fumbles. Right. And
he pulled him right out of the game. Back in, I think McFarland came in right away for that next snap.
Right. And every time he was asked about that, talking about Jaylen Warren, he would say, yeah, he ran hard, but you got to take care of the football.
Right.
And I promise you. And that's been a bit of an issue for Warren in camp as well. So it's not like it's the first time he's put the ball on the ground or had some ball security issues. And so that's why I kind of harped on it a bit more. I thought, besides that, he ran well, he ran hard, caught the ball cleanly. I mean, he's a little bowling ball. We saw that in training camp this whole time. And so, obviously the traits for running back are there. You're not going to get cut in the sense of you're never going to be part of the practice squad just because you fumbled the ball once. But I think even beyond that, he had a dive on the goal line. I guess a ball security issue a little bit on that catch at the end. Even the touchdown, he lost the ball at the very end. He's fighting, he's stretching the ball out. There are some maybe other ball security stuff that weren't direct fumbles that I didn't particularly love overall. But I thought as an actual runner, the traits were all there, certainly. And he's got that power that Pittsburgh really, really likes.
Yeah, look, I'm not trying to diminish what Anthony McFarland did because that's the Anthony McFarland that we need to see for him to make this roster. Because, and look, they had him back there to try a couple of kickoffs as well, too. That's really his only value that he's going to bring you on special teams. Overall is that aspect of it as well, too. And took the nice opening kickoff off. There was did you see the Cody White penalty on that? The
double team?
Yeah. Did you see that?
I have not gone through the film on that play yet. I watched it live. I didn't feel like he did anything wrong.
It didn't feel like it to me either there.
Did you go back and watch it? Because I have not get the.
I watched the play. I have not watched it on the all 20. Because
I can pull it up here real quick.
This year they got the role of special teams separate this year. So I've only made it through offense and defense on the all 22. I haven't even looked at the special.
Did they even have it last year?
I don't remember if they did.
Not in the regular season. Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
The special teams.
Yeah, the special teams. Yeah. I don't remember having it there last year, and I know not for the regular season. Very ticky-tack. There was a moment where actually it was Warren kind of coming up and double teaming him, and then they kind of both came off, and they both kind of came on the attack the same guy at the end there. So if anything, it should have been called on Jaylen Warren, to be honest.
Okay. All right. Maybe I was focused on White because they called it on him.
Right. Nothing egregious. I think Davey Smith would go. The refs just were being rusty and ticky-tack there. So
all right. Well, back to the running backs. Warren represent good burst. That's the guy that played at Maryland right there, Mm-hmm. And he needs to keep this going during the preseason. Jaylen Warren, a little bit softer hands than what I thought. Maybe I think he's pretty decent at catching the ball. A lot more from what I remember about his college tape. There, good after contact for sure. A lot of yards after contact. There was one of those catches in the middle of the field where it looks like he's going to get 8 up, and he got 9 more yards after that as well too. So he delivered in yards after the catch, big time, and I think led the team or came close to leading the team in yards after the catch in that game. Good after first contact, and man, just such a low center. Oh, one other thing that stuck out is he had his own little 1 rep backs on backers drill in there as well too, and got the twisting linebacker. And not only did he pick him up, he ate grass. We like to say he ate grass up, getting to there too. So that was super impressive. He did put the football on the ground though, and that's a no-no.
Right. That one's going to get you in the doghouse pretty quickly. But beyond that, I thought he showed all the traits he's shown at St. Vincent. The power, pushing the pile forward, leg churn, breaking tackles, the contact bounce Mike Tomlin talked about. I am rewatching that penalty, that kickoff again, and really it should have been called on Jaylen Warren. I mean, he shouldn't attack the guy because White was blocking him. So that might be an actual kind of demerit there for Jaylen Warren. But overall, you can see, why there's buzz about him and, and again, I just think about the conditioning. This guy was on the field. How many snaps did Jaylen Warren play last night? Did we have a snap count on any?
Yeah,
on
we
that
do.
Yet? I imagine it wasn't 70, but he was playing more than the other running backs.
27 snaps on offense, and he got a nice little burn on special teams of 11.
Yeah, and so there's just a conditioning aspect. So I've talked about that quite a bit because the lines have been so thin. They've been running the last day of practice on Thursday, they're running 3 healthy running backs, and he had kind of been that the entire week. And so you're just on that the whole week. It's kind of the dog days of camp and summer and stuff like that. So just being, conditioned well and able to absorb all that, to me, again, is really important and often overlooked.
All right, the other 2 backs, I thought Master Teague had some nice hard runs there. Durant, probably the weakest of the group in that game specifically. I did have a nice block on one of those scrambles, I think, right?
Yeah, that was one of the Pickett scrambles late, kind of helped somebody out, but he also got Pickett killed on that sack.
Right.
He just got his butt run over. Yeah, he did. Durant, yeah, I mean, I know he'd missed some time, and he's a different style of back, but I think he was the worst of that group.
Yeah, so right now I think it goes McFarland and then Warren, and then the other two are also Rams, and obviously Benny Snell missed the game with which I suppose was that knee issue that he had the other day.
I do like Master Teague, though. I mean, this dude, he's got some power. He ran hard at the end of that game. I think he's practice squad worthy.
Okay.
Let's move on to wide receivers. And, of course, the George Pickens show continued. What you guys saw Saturday night was basically what we've seen on an almost daily basis at training camp, and that was amplified by that 26-yard touchdown. Was it 26 or 24, however long it was, that George Pickens caught there? It was a great throw by Rudolph, but Pickens, great body control, the toe tap, just the awareness, the high-level stuff that I've seen, again, on a near daily basis.
I don't know how you could get in any better of a game out of that kid, to be honest with you. I mean, physical and the blocking. He sat that cornerback down across from him. That's on his college tape, so nothing new there. We saw some body over that. Obviously that touchdown catch in the corner of the end zone was amazing. He's got that little AB inside arm to him too. That little subtle use of that left arm to kind of stick it out, and until they call that, keep doing it. And it was more of a measuring stick. Let me measure you off here. But that was super. That catch over there on the sideline, strong, and he's got a little bit smaller hands, doesn't he?
8 3/4.
Yeah.
Right? That's why he double catches a little bit, but he plucks away from his body consistently.
Boy, that one stuck right in there, and that was a tough catch, and he had to get his feet down on top of it. He is afraid of not block. He will block anybody on that field in any situation. There was even I think it was on one of the McFarland runs down the left side over there. A player, big old boy in the 90s was running down there, and Pickens put his hands on him too. So all the stuff that you want to see out of a Steelers wide receiver. And here's the scariest thing. I mean, Mike Tomlin was asked after the game, did George Pickens do anything that surprised you? Mike Tomlin said no.
That's a good point.
And obviously he doesn't want to build these, build them up too much. I mean, Mike Tomlin knows that kid had a good game, but that was the right answer. Everything that George Pickens did on that field Saturday night, we have seen on his college tape, correct?
And in training camp. And that's why, I mean, Tomlin didn't say he didn't have a good game. He just said he wasn't surprised because Pickens done that every single day. He's won contested situations. He's blocked. He's made plays. He's caught the ball over his head and made tough catches and stuff like that in traffic. So I thought as the blocker, like you mentioned, just having the wherewithal. Did we see any receiver last year have the wherewithal that Pickens did on that first play of don't want to block in the back on the corner and then get his head around on the other DB? And I charted it out. That gave McFarland an extra 12 yards at that run. And so you talk about, the explosive runs. I talk about how important receiver blocking and downfield blocking is to turn good runs into great ones. And you get your 20-plus yard runs with running backs who are explosive and fast and all that kind of stuff. But also, more importantly, from receivers who block and wall DBs off and make their life tougher as well. And McFarland legitimately got from the 28 to the 42. So he got an extra, actually made him 14 yards that he got there. And so, I mean, that is a world of difference just because Pickens got in the way, ran his feet, and showed some effort.
That stuff with not the football in his hands is the stuff that'll get him a lot more snaps earlier in the season, as opposed to him possibly not. That he's going to be hard to keep off the field from that aspect alone. Football not in his hands, because that guy's the best blocker on the Steelers right now. Period. Wide receiver core, right?
And that. It may be some offensive linemen, depending on who you're talking about.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, better than Connor Hayward as an inline tight end. And that'll resonate on Chase Claypool, because Chase Claypool is going to see that and say, man, Pickens is blocking his butt up. I want to make sure I'm out there in 2 receiver sets. And Chris Jackson's coaching this really hard. I've talked about how much of an emphasis Frisman Jackson has put on receiver run blocking this year, how poor it was last year. I'm sure he saw that going through the tape whenever he got hired. And so I think that will rub off on the other guys that, hey, I got to pick it up as well.
Hey, we even won on one of those early throws. I think it was the gunner in the middle of the field there. Pickens is down almost damn near down to the end zone down there, a good 20, 25 yards ahead of the play. And he's got that defensive back squared up and asking him about whether or not his car needs an extended warranty.
He's annoying like that to DBs, I'm sure. He's always in your face.
Right. So, I mean, do we need to even spend any more time on him? I mean, it was an A+ game from him.
I would just say overall, I think he has to still work on some of the release packages. Even the touchdown he had, it was, a free release there, obviously, but, the route wasn't super nuanced. And I get, he's going to win those contested moments a lot, but I do want to see maybe a little bit more of the nuance and maybe some better jobs at the break point and stuff like that. The first catch he had was impressive because he broke that curl route off, but just some of the in cuts and just working on releases overall. Those are more minor things. I'm just kind of nitpicking here about what else he has to do. But obviously a really impressive debut.
Well, being you added one more thing, I'll add one more thing here. Here's the scary thing about him. This kid almost played only 1,100 snaps in total in college. And people say, oh, that sounds like a lot. Well, I mean, if you're a kid and you stay healthy for 3 years, you're going to play more than 1,100 snaps. And, he only played, 60-something his final season because of that knee injury and all. So he is still got some learning to do on becoming a better route runner. All right. Mm-hmm. So and he will improve without a doubt. He'll improve. So what happens because everything else comes natural to him. I mean, he is just a natural body control, fluid kind of receiver. What happens if he becomes a better route runner?
Right. That's what I've talked about. If he does that, look out. You got a really special player. Again, he has all the tools and traits and ability. You just refine that a little bit and mold that lump of clay. You're going to have a number one dude that's going to, ball out for a decade. And not only did he not play a lot of snaps, he didn't catch a lot of passes. He was in a run first heavy offense at Georgia. And so he just didn't get to see the ball a lot. And so there's just so much more and so much room he can grow.
Look, I think his appearance on that field alone helped play a part in that busted coverage. There were 3 guys down there watching him. They bought a ticket for that, and Gunner took the profit on that. So just a great game for him overall, and I think there's a lot more of that coming in the preseason.
And last thing on Pickens.
Oh no, you don't.
I know he has the reputation of there were the character concerns supposedly. I mean, post game he seemed pretty down to earth, man. A few words, pretty quiet. I mean, obviously he does his dances and he likes to let people know about when he makes plays when he's on the field. But after the game, he was pretty down to earth. I mean, it may be a little bit of cockiness to him, but I mean that's fine. That's receivers are like that all the time. But I think as a quote, I mean he's a pretty humble sounding dude.
I have no reason to worry about him until he gives me a reason to worry about him in that aspect of it.
Exactly. So let's move on. Other receivers, Dave. What other receivers stuck out to you Saturday night? I keep saying last night.
I tell you, it was a kind of an understated game. We already kind of nicked him once for that drop in the end zone, and that probably makes it remain an underrated game for him. I thought Miles Boykin did a lot of everything in that game. And a lot of everything is what it's going to take for Miles Boykin to make the 53-man roster. He had a nice hands catch over there on one of them. I think he had a couple of catches in this game, and he is a good gunner, at least from the TV tape. I can't wait to get into the all 22 to actually see him maybe getting off some of those vices, or if he had to do any of that and all like that. But and he seems to be a heady football player as well. That fumble that we talked about, Jaylen Warren, who was there to get it, Miles Boykin on top of it there. I don't think I paid too terribly much attention to his blocking, so I'll probably need to look at that going back through the film. But I just thought, top to bottom, if you add in the special teams and everything else, I thought Miles Boykin passed the test.
Me too. And certainly the special teams aspect is going to be important on a day in which Anthony Miller did not play due to a shoulder injury. You see Boykin, I thought, overall play well on that one special teams tackle that he had forced the fumble. The Seahawks returner made a bad decision to pick it up, but Boykin made sure not to interfere and then not to lose focus either, not assume the ball was going to be just dead or anything like that. And then as soon as the Seahawks guy tried to field it, you make the tackle, force the fumble, and Seattle fortunate to recover that one. So then he had Boykin did a kick coverage tackle as well. So I thought Boykin did well Saturday night.
I don't really know how to grade Olszewski here because a lot of his, he's wide open on a couple of them.
Well, just the one, right? A touchdown, but
the one over the
catch.
middle underneath. Wasn't that kind of? I don't think he had anybody close to him, did he?
Well, it was like a cover 0, I think. But I mean, there was a guy on him. He just broke his route off. I mean, it wasn't like, he had this great play, but then just what he did after the catch. I mean, getting that yak was impressive. And
he should, as a return guy, he should be used to doing that. I'm not trying to knock him. I just don't know how to, because you see these other guys making the contested catches and all like that, But look, he did fine. I'm up for watching a little bit more of him in the slot the rest of the preseason. Cody White, big catch there, especially late that we talked about from Pickens over there on the sideline. Tyler Vaughn's, look, that throw was several yards short of the end zone along the sideline. If he doesn't break that tackle and score, what happens? So
I kind of held my breath for a second there, but Vaughn's had kind of faded a bit the last week or so that it was really important for him to come on strong, and he certainly ended that game well.
He's obviously on the outside looking in. He's going to be battling for a practice squad spot for sure. And who else had catches in there? Snead had a couple of catches for 10 yards.
How about Steven Sims looking good? Return and on that jet run.
Yeah. And I guess they dinged him for his blocking or something, or maybe they dinged him for that penalty. I bet. No, it wasn't a penalty. Did he have he didn't have a penalty in that game?
I don't think so. I know he was trying to be on an insert block one time early in that game. That probably wasn't his effort there. I thought there was a toss play where he had good effort, and I think got the job done. So he is a little Ray like last from Stevenson.
He ended up in the bottom 5 of the offensive player grades on Pro Foot. Now, granted, people say, "Oh, you quoting Pro." Look, we look at a lot of that. A lot of what they do is good. We obviously don't agree with it, and I think Alex would probably a bit surprised that he's in the bottom 5. I didn't expect to see him in the bottom 5 graded offensive players there, but he's another guy though that outside the bubble. So I still would have a guy like Miles Boykin ahead of him.
Yeah, I would too. I think you're talking practice squad there, but I think Sims has a good chance to make it as that because he can do kicks and punts. So if something happened to Gunner, and you got a guy like Sims that you could call up.
Right.
It's probably it. The only other note for receivers are the guys who did not play. No Anthony Miller, no Calvin Austin. Apparently, Mike Tomlinson that happened during Friday. That was a walkthrough, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know what occurred there.
Foot injury there.
Yeah, I don't know how severe it is. I don't know what the nature of it is specifically. We'll get eyes on him later today, Monday. By the time people listen to this, you may kind of know the status of Calvin Austin, but hopefully that's just a minor thing.
I would agree. No Claypool, as you mentioned. No Deontay Johnson. Anthony Miller, boy, he missed a golden opportunity, didn't he? And that was a bit of a shock as well, too. Somebody, I think, in the comments knew something about something.
Right? I saw that.
Because I think you included Anthony Miller in one of your – what was the article that you included him in?
Yeah, it was like five players whose roster odds are fading. And then somebody commented and said, one of these guys has a shoulder injury and will not play. Didn't know who he was talking about, but he was talking about Anthony Miller.
Well, that was him. So unfortunate situation for Anthony Miller because this race isn't very long.
That's true. We're getting near the finish line. Yeah.
Right.
All right, let's move on to tight ends. Again, the general theme, probably less to talk about there. I know you guys meet every day in camp. What about the tight ends? But Connor Haywood, the top
hands,
guy.
Great hands. And a couple of those catches just really show how good of hands he has. And the 2-point conversion on that little stop curl route, Kenny Pickett wanted him in the game because he worked so much with him, and it showed there. I had a feeling we were going to. I know why they do it. They want to see if he can do it. They want to see, in case of emergency, if they have to do it. But it's really unfair to Connor Hayward to put him on the end of the line of scrimmage. Period.
Yeah, as an inline blocker, he struggled. I know he was blocking. The Seattle's got some bigger defensive ends too, and so that made that even worse for him.
That's not a fair fight. That's bringing a sport to a knife fight.
Yeah. It was interesting. I think they did it specifically with Hayward, some wider alignments where he'd be hand down, but he'd be like there was a gap between the tackle and him. Like it would be like a player should be there. So interesting kind of with the alignments they did with Hayward. And obviously he was 2-point stance and, slot and split out and split flow and stuff like that. So, the more that you can get him on his feet and moving him around, that's where he's going to shine the most. But again, you talk about all the boots that they're going to run. Connor Hayward could catch 30 of those this year. He could be the old Larry Sanders if he wanted to, and,
good reference.
And just be that kind of guy that makes those plays underneath.
And he showed up on special teams. So that's important as well, too. The other tight ends, obviously, Pat Freiermuth, Zach Gentry did not play in this contest. Jay Sternberger's just also run. Kevin Rader had a nice catch that was a little bit behind him in that game.
Yeah, I talked about how his hands have kind of improved, and that was a good catch behind him. I think he had a tackle as well in the coverage unit, and that's kind of what he's known for. I will say, last thing on Connor Hayward, did have a false start. He's had a couple of those in camp, so just being a little, I don't know if it's because he's more further away from the line of scrimmage now, and some of that's maybe a little bit newer to him. It was also interesting that he was playing Seattle last night, where the Seahawks starting running back was Kenneth Walker, who took Hayward's job at Michigan State. That thought crossed my mind, not that it's relevant to anything. But yeah, I think Hayward, you would say Hayward, number 3 tight end on this team right now?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Raider practice squad.
Right.
Okay, fair enough there. And then we'll see if Freiermuth and Gentry, I assume they're going to play next week, assuming they're healthy. Freiermuth, I know is.
All right, we saved the best for last. Oh, no, we didn't. Offense.
Oh, why do you got to start it like that?
Offensive line, go.
They run. My overall, when people would ask me in camp, how's the O-line looking? I said broadly, run blocking better, pass pro kind of crap. It's kind of how it went last night.
It was exactly how it went. They are built to run block. They'll be better built to run block when Kendrick Green's not in there.
Poor Kendrick Green catching strings.
But this line is, God help them if they can't run the football this year, because this offensive line is built to run block. And it was good. It wasn't great, but it was good enough. They had over a 60% run success rate, and yada preseason, but that's a 60-something% run success rate, and I need to see more of that. I thought Chooks played a pretty good game, top to bottom overall, but then it kind of drops off across the line in all phases from there.
Where'd you come in on James Daniels? How are you feeling about his debut?
I feel like you have filtered the information correctly so far. There were some scary moments with him.
Yeah, I know that. I think not the PFF were beholden to it, but they graded him out pretty poorly. I think it's the stat there, 2 pressures on 10 pass pro attempts. I will say, Pat Meyer.
Room for improvement.
Yeah, for sure. Run blocking was better than pass pro, but that's kind of the theme, I guess, of the whole offensive line. Pat Meyer's offensive line, it does feel a lot different. So I'm really working hard. I'm going to do a film on this later this week about all the little things that Pat Meyer teaches. And, you're seeing guards, how about tackles a lot more. I think the centers are going to have more responsibility. They're not going to be more helpers. They're going to be more taking on blocks one-on-one this year. So it'll be a big role for Mason Cole. Some of the sets are different. Hand placement, independent hand use, stuff like that. I'm going to note all that probably for an article later this week. When it comes to Kendrick Green, Pat Meyer, his overall philosophy is just have really aggressive pass sets. We're not going to give ground. We're going to strike first. We're going to make first significant contact, things like that. Kendrick Green can do that, but only when it all comes together perfectly. And even then, sometimes it doesn't work. And so he's a guy that is such a roll the dice. I mean, he'll short set some of these guys and get hands on them, and he'll win. He's done that. I saw a couple reps like that. But I saw a couple where he just got run back again. His hand placement's still too far outside, just inconsistent overall. He's a strong guy, but if your hand placement is poor, you're going to get run back every single time. And so he's not someone that can hop, step, and stall out a lot of these bull rushes. And so I think you'll have some good moments from Kendrick Green. I think you'll have some really bad moments from Kendrick Green, just given the structure that Pat Meyer teaches things.
Look, you would think that, okay, golden opportunity with Kevin Dotson out for Kendrick Green to take maybe charge of that race. And yeah, you can't make the club in the tub, I know, with Kevin Dotson, but I think Kevin Dotson not playing helped Kevin Dotson in that game. he wasn't off his feet as much,
right?
But he was off his feet, and he tries to lunge a few times. I guess with those quick sets, gets swam right on over. Hand placement he loses the hand battle more times than not because he's a shorter, squattier guy. It always seems like they get their hands into him before he gets his hands into them. Right. 7 out of 10 snaps, 8 out of 10 snaps.
And that is the exact opposite because Pat Meyer, he uses this phrase a million times. I just mentioned it. First significant contact. You better strike first. You better win early. If he can't do that, if Kendrick Green can't do that, that's a problem. So Kevin Dotson, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's longer, he can handle power better. To me, he's a much better scheme fit for what Pat Meyer asks. Of course, Dotson has to get healthy and still earn the job, but just on paper, Dotson is a much better fit than Kendrick Green.
Absolutely. And there's still, I'm not going to run him out of town yet, but there's 2 preseason games left. He's got to turn it on. Kendrick Green's got to turn it on, man.
Yeah,
he really does. I would be very fearful from what we've seen just in, and you don't want to draw long, hard conclusions off one preseason game, but that's all we have right now, or at least all I have. You've seen him at camp and all. Has it been any better? I mean, it's hard to tell at camp because a lot of things you see on all 22 that you don't see on TV, folks. Right. And it's amazing. Go back when you even started. Alex used to grade the offensive line play just off the TV tape.
How did we do it?
Yeah, how in the hell? Because man, you just can't see that stuff. I don't know if he's locked to make the roster, Alex.
Ooh, wow, you're going. I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. I think he'll make it.
Let me tell you, LeGlue played a lot. Backup played a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what I learned about the offensive line Saturday night.
Okay.
Joe Haeg, you were right. Joe Haeg is still the best swing tackle on this team,
and
it's not even close.
Yep.
And Joe Haeg's not going to the Pro Bowl. Within that, Joe Haeg is this team's best swing tackle, and John LeGlue was the best guard on that field for the Steelers last night.
That's a concerning thought, if there ever was one. I thought LeGlue played really well. I'm with you. I thought he had a bad camp. I thought he had a good game Saturday night, and so that was encouraging. But you're right. When he's your best guard, that's not ideal.
And, I mean, that's across the board. Chaz Green ain't it at guard. Chaz Green ain't it at tackle.
That is my least favorite Dr. Seuss book. Chaz Green ain't it at guard and tackle. Not my.
Hop on pop.
Hop on off this roster.
Scott. I don't want to see any more of that. Trent Scott over there on the edge. Who else played in this game?
Did the third stringers get in? Did Jordan Tucker and Jake Dixon, those guys play?
I don't know. No,
Chris Owens.
No. At least they gave Kenny Pickett some respect and didn't put the furniture movers in there.
Yeah, right.
Up front. And look.
What about Dan Moore Jr.? I thought it was rough for Dan Moore.
Yeah, got beat off the edge. And it wasn't a great night for him. No.
Although I will say, what he's on the fumble there.
Let me rephrase. Okorafor did have a good game. Okay.
Yeah.
But backups behind him went. I think it was Haeg and Okorafor real close together there as far as quality of play, and then LeGlue. If we're talking about an offensive lineman across the board, then LeGlue, and then it sort of dropped from there.
I agree. Should Rudolph have climbed up in the pocket? Would you put that sack a lot on Dan Moore? Because Moore sealed it. Mafe beat him kind of late, but I felt like there was room there for Rudolph to hitch up.
I'll have to go back and watch that again.
Again, just the overall thought is, I think some of that looked worse than what it was, with some of the guards getting beat inside, because Pat Meyer's teaching them that when the center's sliding to you, you're gonna don't get beat around the edge because you have help inside, so you cannot get beat around the edge, and those guys are going to look to help the tackles a lot more. So you'll see that where they're basically half man on the D tackle with the center to the center side, and they're looking, their eyes are to the tackle on the end and trying to give help that way. So there were some times where I saw guards get, quote unquote, beat inside, but that's more the scheme of it all. And so that's some of the newness that Pat Meyer's teaching. So just a word of caution there.
This team could still use another guard and tackle.
Yeah, I mean,
on the depth chart,
not going to find one. Good luck finding one at this point. So
I mean, it's one preseason game, and look, we'll see what happens when Dotson gets back.
On the plus side, real quick, no false starts, no hold calls, no bad exchanges. Like fundamentally, I thought they were pretty sound.
Yeah, from that aspect, they just and look, they were able to run the ball. Okay, so there's that.
Yeah, so we'll see how it looks. It's first time out, and I just want to see Dotson healthy and back in this lineup.
Right. I wonder how much incrementally they get better with just putting Dotson back in there, a healthy Dotson.
Right. So any other overall thoughts on the Steelers offense, Dave?
No. I mean, look, they did what they're supposed to do. And what Mike Tomlin said, they took care of the football, moved it down, put it in the end zone. It's nice to see a lot of points scored. It
was a lot of fun. Defensively, I had talked about, Dave, this front seven is going to shut things down. They're going to look great. Nope, I was totally wrong on that one. They were pretty bad. That was my biggest disappointment of that whole game. The play of the front seven, allowing $160 on the ground, 6.1 yards per carry, giving up the points that they gave up. That was really, to me, unexpected.
I thought, and look, I didn't expect Ogunjobi to play in this game. I didn't expect Aluwalu to play in this game. I didn't expect Cam Hayward to play in this game. All the guys that were basically held out, did not surprise me at all. But even so, I thought because of the experience, as much experience as they had in that front, the people that have been in stadiums before, I sure thought we would have got a lot better performance than that. And I think Loudermilk was somewhat of a bright spot in there at times. Leal had a couple of nice snaps in there. You start looking for things to kind of point out from there. Loudermilk had a bat down. Look, if you can't get to the quarterback, get your hands up, right? And
he had like 3 of those last year. So that was
right.
Good to see.
So that was good to see. But they were, for the most part, that unit was getting pushed around pretty good up front on that side of football.
Of course, when you start Henry Mondo at nose tackle, you kind of get what you ask for. I understand no Alualu, no Adams, all those qualifiers, but still don't understand the allure of Mondo being nose tackle. I thought the Davis brothers would play well, and they really didn't. Khalil, in particular, got washed against the run quite a bit. He did have the big hit stick on the last play of the game, but that's not something you can really evaluate and expect going forward. So, yeah, overall, Carlos Khalil, a lot quieter than I thought.
I thought Khalil played better than Carlos.
Okay, I wasn't sure who played, but it felt like Khalil got washed against the run. I have not watched it back on the All-22, but just watching it live, I was trying to key on him, and it felt like he was getting run out pretty often. Okay. But I might be wrong. I don't know.
But I mean, there still wasn't a lot to get excited about there, period. I thought a couple snaps there late. I thought Doug Costin did a good job of anchoring inside overall, but it just felt like they got pushed around quite a bit up front.
I thought as a pass rusher, DeMarvin Leal flashed the most to me with some cross chops and athleticism and burst. And again, for all the weight that he added to maintain his quickness and speed, he's got to finish a little bit, but I thought he showed some hand use to win some one-on-one blocks.
All right. That's the defensive line. Not a lot to get really excited about there. It's a good thing they've got guys like Ogunjobi and Hayward and Tyson Aluwalu and Montravius Adams.
Right. Did Chris Wormley played last night, but he was pretty nondescript as well at left defensive end. Let's move to the edge guys. That was fairly quiet as well, I would say. Derek Tuskel, Delonte Scott, they're pretty subpar athletes. They're more technicians and effort guys and fighters. I thought both guys were just average, I would say. I thought where were the outside linebackers last night, Saturday night? Because overall, it just felt like you really, and there was the sack by Rashid and that. Oh, we forgot to mention Henry Mondo. I mean, Henry Mondo did have a sack in there, but it was kind of a delayed, it was good contained by Tuscan Scott. They kept Geno Smith in the pocket, but that was about it. Just top to bottom, it was more uneventful play more than anything from the outside linebackers, I thought. Yeah, and I know there's some new guys there. You're playing. Is it Rashid or Rashid? Rashid. I'll get it right. Hamilcar, Rashid. I mean, he's new. Rondo Carter's new. Right. The lines were not terribly deep last night because no Jannard Avery. TJ Watt sitting out. Alex Highsmith probably would have sat out if he was healthy, but he's got the rib issue. So, I mean, they were asking a lot of snaps from those guys. As Tuska in particular, he was playing pretty deep into that game.
Yep.
Yeah, so pretty nondescript there, but run defense probably not the best either. They surely contributed to some of that. Inside linebacker, you had Miles Jack, Devin Bush start this thing off. Jack only played, maybe the first 2 drives, then gave away to Robert Spillane. Devin Bush, what are your thoughts on Devin Bush, Dave?
Yeah, they're short. Okay. I mean, it's the same old thing with him. I mean, nothing's changed with him.
There was that one run by Travis Homer. He cuts back right side. Bush is unblocked the entire time. No one, he doesn't get hands. Bush does on Homer at all. Doesn't touch him.
Bought a ticket while Delonte Scott. He bought a ticket to the Delonte Scott pancaking.
Oh, where Scott got pushed back into him. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, right in front of him there.
Right in front of him. Yeah, but I mean, Bush. He's got to be like that play. He didn't even touch Homer. Didn't even touch him.
I mean, he's flat-footed there, really, just staring at him there. Got to do something. Got to get a hand on him at least until help get there or something.
Jack looked good. How about Jack?
Jack. Jack. Seen enough of him in the preseason already now. With him, Spillane, man, just you get him out in space and he gets flat-footed. He can't move. He's okay going forward and maybe sometimes on the hoof, but he just doesn't have the change of direction or anything.
Was there one play in particular that stuck out to you?
One of those over on the side over there.
Yeah, and the flat. I remember that. Yeah. Baba beat behind them. It was really, again, depth not super strong with UG3 on IR and Marcus Allen not playing. Buddy Johnson, Mark Robinson playing the majority of that second half. Robinson, he can run and hit. I thought Baldy had a really good breakdown on him on Twitter the other day, but in coverage, you're seeing some of that lack of long speed. And even I saw a lack of kind of a quickness there. And I saw he looked better in coverage in camp than he did last start or against the Seahawks Saturday night.
I thought they each made a couple of plays, I thought, but it still felt a little uneventful overall.
I think Robinson was better than Buddy. Is that fair to say?
I would agree with that. Now, look, he did get beat one-on-one in space out there on that by that running back, kind of on that choice route, right? Mm-hmm. But who? I mean, that's a tough ask when you get in that situation like that. There was one instance that I have a clip of Robinson doing a good job of getting those hands extended and getting some separation and making the tackle there near the line of scrimmage. So that stuck out to me there overall, but I found myself kind of lacking a little bit at the inside linebacker position overall as well too.
Yeah, I should say Robinson better run defense than Buddy, although I don't think Buddy made any significant plays in coverage. Robinson, I think he guessed a bit, trying to guess where that running back would go inside and kind of cheated to the inside a little bit, and the back goes outside. So that's a tough spot to be in, but you really have to just be patient and just be ready and have good posture and then burst as the receiver makes his cut. But Robinson lacking that long speed, and that was clear last night.
Right. And look, he's at least with Robinson, he's still feeling his way here. So, Buddy, let's see how he progresses the rest of the preseason.
Right. It is just one game. It's a first game for a lot of these guys, Robinson included. So we're not making any conclusions here for a lot of these guys, but, just evaluating what the game was.
Right.
Cornerback.
I went into that game really looking forward to watching those two play, and they and look, Robinson came off the edge there to get that sack. That was a big play. Yep. Obviously there. And I thought he was the better of the two, like you said. I think he made more plays. I saw him attacking blocks and getting off blocks. I think he's got that part of it down. I think he's just got to learn how to play linebacker a little bit more.
Right. This is a guy playing running back 2 years ago. So, right. I mean, we're not unexpected to see some of these struggles. So we'll see again what the progression is, where you start, where you finish. That's all that really matters. All right, let's go to corner.
Where to?
Yeah, I was going to say take it to cornerback now. Some of the injuries there, unfortunately. We'll talk about some of the ones in the safety group here in a second. But Akella Witherspoon leaving with a shoulder injury. I called him out for a business decision on the second play of the game. Yeah. And then after that, he bounced back, though, and he got hurt, unfortunately, coming down to make a tackle. But the play after that business decision, he blew up that jet run, and he showed some 1-2 in that game.
And that's what you want. That's what I've been wanting to see with him. Right. Over there. Now, the other one, too, ended up getting him hurt, So I don't know if that's going to be in the back of his mind. What do you have, a stinger or something like that?
They never announced it. I don't think it's that serious, but I don't know what the actual injury is.
All right. What else at cornerback overall? James Pierre, nice play with the ball in the air, getting it to it in the end zone. Wow. What else over there?
A good game for Millette. I know he got beat
Millette,
on that
yeah.
one, but downhill, like it was a Millette game. Downhill, underneath routes, slant right on third down. He's very good. Anything where he's got to turn and run, it's a lot less good.
He beat on that wide receiver screen, beat that wide receiver up underneath the block to make the stop there. That was good. Had some pretty, even though I think it ended up being a drop on that underneath incompletion there, he was right there on him. Had that wide receiver caught it, he was going to tackle him right after the catch there. So that it was a positive game for him, I felt, overall.
And he played pretty deep into that game. I'm guessing Carl Joseph was going to take a lot of slot snaps, and he gets hurt basically on the opening kickoff, I think. And I think that's why Millette was playing well into the second half.
I would agree. You're probably right.
Justin Lane came in after after Carlin Splatell. And So I was talking about how Justin Lane's been kind of fading. Now he played ahead of Chris Steele and maybe a little bit, like he was kind of splitting with Lyndon Stevens, but Justin Lane, I don't know how many snaps he had, but it was not many, and they came very, very late.
The thing that sticks out the most to me about Carlos Patel was a missed tackle over there on the side, the one that Charlie Batch didn't know his number on.
Right.
There. Well, that was Carlin's Patel over there. So that stuck out to me. A lot of guys are probably going to get on that defense. So them second, third string is going to get an earful about keep running after the football. A lot of them look like they were waiting for the other one to go track people down a lot of times. And as we know, that's not what they teach for sure. So I think there's going to be, and it wasn't just, obviously just the cornerbacks. Thought it was linebackers, thought it was defensive linemen as well too. It's probably why you saw the Davis brother at the end of that game go 90-0 to end it on that. But I thought just defense overall, just running after the football wasn't. Now, one of the ones though, Mark Robinson, that reminds me of another play. One of those kind of boots, I think, over there to the right side of the offense that Mark Robinson ran from his other outside inside linebacker position to go over there toward the sideline to make the tackle there. So he had some hustle there, but I felt overall just lacking intensity and everybody looking at everybody wanting them to go make the tackle.
Yeah, I thought A, guys had trouble getting off of blocks, and B, that contributed to just a lack of pursuit and rally and chase. I think even Cam Hayward made a comment with a in-game interview saying these guys have to run the football harder, and so that was not acceptable to me.
Right.
Last note, I think the only guy on Pittsburgh's side that was mad about the Mark Robinson forced fumble was Chris Steele. That was his first snap of the game at corner. He's going to be like, man, okay, late in the game, I'm in the corner, I'm going to make a play, and then it's, okay, I'm off the field. So that's probably the only guy that was upset about that.
Norwood had a nice night, I thought, overall.
Norwood was excellent. He might have been the best player on Steelers defense last night, honestly. I had in my charting, when he was targeted, Norwood was against Seattle. The quarterbacks were 0 for 4, and 2 of those breakups came in the end zone. And so I thought Norwood was excellent, playing slot corner and passing down, playing safety as well.
I thought Casey had some nice snaps on that completion to the tight end on, I think that was third down, just a bit short of the chains. Casey comes up, makes a nice form tackle and stops him well short of the chains on that. I thought there was 1 or 2 other plays that stuck out with Casey as well too. So I think those were your 2 best. They might have been your 2 best defensive players on that field last night.
Yeah, Casey just throws his weight around, balls to the wall like every single time. I mean, he's a little firecracker still, to the point where he got hurt, unfortunately. Hopefully he's okay. I imagine that's not incredibly serious, but I mean, this guy has that hair on fire attitude, and that was on full display last night. Unfortunately, Carl Joseph seems to have suffered a pretty serious ankle injury. Was that on the opening kickoff?
It had to be, because it was. And then instantly was on the cart with that right ankle, whatever, in a boot there, and that's not good. I think they said he was on crutches after the game as well too. So
they brought the air cast out for him, right, when he was on the cart.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a good sign. So he had a good summer. I was really kind of rooting for that guy to play well, and
that might be one of the moves that they make, right?
Yeah, I don't he's going to get put on IR.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to do a Zach Wilson thing here and get something wrong, but it feels like that's a pretty telltale sign he's not coming back.
I mean, you got to get 5 people off that active roster. He might be one of them.
Oh yeah, you're right. Roster cuts are coming tomorrow or Monday, right?
Tuesday,
Today.
isn't it?
Tuesday.
Is it Tuesday? Hold on,
maybe
man.
it's Tuesday. They got to go from 90 to 85.
Yeah, we just talked about this the other day, saying, man, this is going to be a short week for some of these. The 16th.
Okay, so Tuesday. You're right.
Right.
What else?
When am I wrong?
That's a fair point. Other safety, not much.
Steiner. Steiner's got to keep that out of the end zone. That was was that the choice route to Homer?
Yeah, on the touchdown.
Yeah.
What did Steiner do wrong?
He's got to keep that out of the end zone.
Okay.
He comes up and he sits and he plants his feet about 10 yards away. I've got another one of that. Let me send you that one. You'll remember that play. You're just drawing a blank on you right now. And then they went over there and they both weren't able to make the tackle over there. And then he got into the end zone. Okay, you gave up a choice route. That's understandable. I mean, that's tough to cover when them backs coming out of there. But keep them out of the damn end zone, Let me send you this still here.
Yeah, do you have the clip there?
Yeah,
I haven't gone through the defense as much. Oh, I see. Yeah, I see. I mean, Steiner's a big guy. He's going to make that play for sure.
I mean, you got to get him down to the ground.
Did he lunge? What happened to cause him to miss a tackle?
He just look at his feet. He squatted and his feet stopped right there, and then he restarts and he got juked to the outside. Then
so he came to bounce too early.
And then they both tried to dive at his feet and couldn't get him. But I mean, you got the guy in your sights there, and he's at the 9.5 yard line at that point. You got to keep that out of the end zone. You got to have some blades of grass to defend.
There you go. Yeah, that cannot be a touchdown for sure. And Miles Killebrew did not play last night, I don't believe.
Correct.
I don't know if that's still because he's working his way back to full health. I assume that it is, but something to note there.
Let me give you the list of did not plays. What did you think about the kicking game overall?
Skiba did well. I mean, it wasn't anything he was asked to do too much. Kick coverage unit seemed solid. So, yeah, it was good.
All right, here's the did not play list. Oladokin, Harvin, Boswell. You surprised Harvin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought for sure. I mean, I assume that means like he's a near lock to make this team. You got to be happy with him if he's not punting. I
understand letting Boswell watching sneakers. I don't know if I'm on board with Harvin watching. Oladokin, Harvin, Boswell, Claypool, Anthony Miller, Deontay Johnson, Calvin Austin III, Najee Harris, Benny Snell Jr., Marcus Allen, Miles Killebrew, Minka Fitzpatrick, Derek Watt, Jannard Avery, Alex Highsmith, Montravius Adams, Larry Ogunjobi, Jake Dixon, Kevin Dotson, Chris Owens didn't get into this game. Zach Gentry, Pat Fryermuth, TJ Watt, Tyson Alualu, Cam Hayward, and Alex Kozora.
And that's a good one. Jordan Tucker, I guess, got on special teams. Did he play anything on the offensive line? Jordan Tucker, did you mention him?
No snaps for him on the offensive line. I think he got like a handful of special team snaps. Here are the guys that only got special team snaps in this game. Okay. Skiba, obviously. Kuntz, obviously. Niziolak, obviously. Nate Gilliam, 4 special team snaps. Tucker, 4 special team snaps. And poor Carl Joseph with just 1.
Right. He got hurt there. So, yeah, well, hopefully we'll see some of the third string offensive linemen. I mean, if it's a tune-up game next week, I don't know how much we'll see of those guys. So maybe the finale.
Some of these guys got to go.
Yeah, but they usually want to keep more offensive linemen just for that finale where they're not playing starters. So no one goes down. So they usually might be a little heavy on the offensive line.
Okay. What else? Any other overarching thoughts on the game?
I thought Pittsburgh was pretty clean overall, just ball security, not a lot of penalties. Pretty clean game, I thought, overall from a penalty aspect. Nothing super sloppy that you would expect from a first outing. Pittsburgh won possession downs early, offensively and defensively. That kind of faded late, gave up a big 2-minute drive at the end of the half. Not that we're nitpicking the actual game circumstances too much, but just kind of some general thoughts on the flow of the game. But overall, for a first outing, I mean, again, the front seven disappointing. The run defense was poor, and that's discouraging. Not again, a lot of these guys are not going to play come week one, but just overall. But I'm happy with the first outing.
My overall thoughts are the quarterback play was a lot better than what I expected it to be, and the defense was a lot worse than what I expected it to be. The defense as a whole.
Agreed. All right. Any other commentary? Anything else you want to add here, Dave?
No.
The NFL top 100's out. No Najee Harris. They're going through. They're already on 77 right now. So I assume Najee's not going to make it anywhere. No Deontay. James Conner did make the list. So shout out to James Conner.
I bet we see Najee here at some point. Maybe.
You think?
Yeah, I don't see how.
Yeah, man. Maybe if Conner's at 80. Yeah.
All right, quick couple emails. Nick Olis writes in, is there any chance the running back room will be Harris, McFarland, and Warren? Not unless Benny Snell. I got Benny Snell's always beside Mike Tomlin. And he didn't play last night. Mike Tomlin's a Benny Snell guy, and Benny Snell, people hate to hear it. He gives you a guy that can play all four special teams unit. Unless this knee injury, there's something to this knee injury, or he gets another injury around in there. I think I have no reason right now to think that Snell won't be on this 53.
I'm with you. I don't think you need three defined runners on this team when Najee's going to play 70% of the time. You do want a number two, and that could be McFarland or still potentially Warren and Snell in short yardage. But I think until shown otherwise, that Snell's going to make it, and I have McFarland having the inside track still right now in that other spot.
All right. Simon Short. Happy Monday. He says, I noticed Devin Bush had the green dot with the first unit on Saturday, but who do you think had it when he was done? He says, I didn't see it on Robinson, Johnson, Norwood, or Steiner. Any ideas? Could they have just been calling plays from the sidelines? I'm not sure. I looked. I don't even think I remember. Now, obviously, don't have all the best angles all the time, and you damn sure can't see it on all 22, or at least I can't. Did you see Bush wearing a green dot or no?
I didn't. I'll be honest, wasn't really looking for it, but I'll take the reader's word for it. I don't imagine they were calling it on the sideline. I
did look in the second. I started looking in the second half. Then last time through the TV tape, thinking, I better look who's wearing it. And I might have missed. I'm not saying that I didn't see anybody in that second team wearing a green dot. No, I probably
somebody
missed
had to
it.
Been.
But I didn't see it. So if anybody noticed the green dot, feel free to email us and we'll give you a shout out because I'm tired of looking for it at this point.
I mean, it had to have been one of the inside linebackers. They were on the field.
Okay. And somebody send me a shot of Bush wearing it too. Cause I didn't see it. Now I'm old. My eyes get worse by the day. I'm here to tell you. But I couldn't pick it out.
I guess they wouldn't have. Let's assume Bush wore it. They didn't put it on Jack because he wasn't going to play as much. I mean, they can swap that out. I don't know. Anyway,
find me the green dot on Bush first, and then we'll go from there.
All right, good deal.
Let's see here. We got some more. Let me sort this by the terrible podcast here real quick.
Just a reminder, Dave and I will have the training camp recap later today, and I know the camp becomes less relevant the last 4 days, but we'll and from an injury standpoint, we'll see who's all hurt and working on Monday.
Nicholas Gooden writes in, I'm sure you already touched on this at this point, but why no Kevin Dotson? That doesn't seem great. Kevin Dotson had when did he injure that ankle? 5 days ago? 6 days ago?
Yeah, about a week ago.
Okay, so that's what he's dealing with right there. That's what it was pretty predictable that he wasn't going to play in that game, Nicholas, because he hadn't been in practice last 4 or 5 times, I guess, something like that. Todd Gensler, with the teams able to carry 53 on the roster plus 16-man practice squad, how many available slots are there typically with each team? You have the starters, the free agent acquisitions, the top draft picks. With 90-player roster, how many true available slots are these guys fighting for approximately? Do you guys think increasing the roster beyond 53 would be a better thing for the NFL in the long run? I'll answer the second question first. Hell yeah, I think they should. I think they need 3 more roster spots would make me happy. I understand why the whole competitive balance thing and all like that. One team that gets bitten by injuries would kind of have a competitive advantage against a team not so. The larger the roster gets, but heck, why not just make the inactive list longer or something?
Right. Just make the active roster
Right.
the same. Make it 48. I guess it would be now.
But I guess this the fact that you still get that many more to choose from. Is where that comes in there. So you could, you know what I'm saying? You have that many more players to choose from on your inactive list that way as well too. Sure. How many roster spots are generally up for grabs every summer? I mean, that's a great question. I think technically you could say probably on any given year around 16 to 18.
Yeah, it depends on how you're defining that. Like the real true bubble guys versus the guys that are kind of inside looking out. I mean, if you kind of run through things quickly right now on this roster, quarterback, there's none. Running back, you would say, is probably like one spot they're fighting for. Is that fair?
Yeah.
If you assume that's, I mean, I know you could debate Snell, but one.
Right.
Tight end, it's a little competition, so I'll say a spot there. Hayward has to earn that. That's
right.
2. Receiver, the last spot, that's 3. Offensive line, spot or 2. Call that just 5, maybe.
All right.
Defensive line, yeah, generally maybe there's a spot you're fighting for. 6. I don't know, one at each. So maybe around 9 to 10, roughly.
I'd say probably a little bit more than that, but
okay.
But it differs from every year, Todd. Really.
Yeah.
Look, this is a younger team this year, so there might be a few more spots open, right?
True. Yeah, I think this year there's certainly some more competition, and again, it varies year to year and based on roster to roster and injuries, so it's hard to really put a number to it. But yeah, call it maybe a dozen to 15, depending on the strength of your roster.
Ken David says, Northeast Pennsylvania, love the podcast analysis. Just want to mention something I've noticed about Tomlin this offseason. He says, I've been a high school teacher since 2009. I've noticed he's using a lot of teaching terminology nowadays. He says inclusiveness and talks a lot about not treating everyone equal or fair. We call it equitable, he says. That stuff goes miles with kids and people in general. I've been a Steelers fan since the early 90s, and it's cool to see coaching evolve. What will the Tomlin tree look like 20 years from now, he says?
Well, that's a good question. The Tomlin tree so far is pretty bare. There's a whole debate we could have about that I'm not going to get into tonight. I know Tomlin has used the fair and equal thing for a long time. The more inclusive stuff seems to be a bit more recent. But yeah, I think, Tomlin's had to learn to evolve and change a little bit. And I know he's doing the whole 7 shots food thing where the winners get a lot nicer meal. So I think you're just trying to find ways to have carrots and sticks and motivate guys and push buttons. And Tomlin's always been so good and so natural at all that.
All right, Mario Brownell writes in, hello, gentlemen. Alex has expressed strong opinions about Chris Oladokin's lack of reps during this training camp. He says, I've always thought Oladokin is meant to be the long-term backup of Kenny Pickett. For that reason, I believe the Steelers are tanking his value during this training camp. If he can't get reps, he can't play in games. If he can't play in games, he can't show off his talent, which means that no team can justifiably put him on their active roster come cut down time. This makes it easier for the Steelers' chances of getting him to the practice squad. He says Rudolph and Trubisky will both be gone in the next 2 off seasons. It makes sense to address this crucial position. Thanks, and keep up the good work. I don't know, man. Even if this guy, I would at least want to see something from this kid, even in a training camp practice, to know that I maybe want him on my practice squad. It's just this has been an Alex Highsmith, Kozora hot button for since camp started now at this point, and it's hard to disagree with him at this point. It seems like, and we'll obviously see what plays out with Mason Rudolph, but and whether or not he's traded. But it seems like you could have gone a different direction with that pick and still had a decent chance of getting Oladokin to on your 90-man roster.
Yeah, it's hard to be Pickett's backup when you've literally not taken a snap ever. I mean, how can you be trusted as one snap away? I don't believe this is a chess, not checkers move by Pittsburgh of let's play him so little that no one can evaluate him, including us. I don't think that's the mindset there. I think they drafted him because they needed a fourth quarterback and they would have not been able to sign him as an undrafted free agent. Could he be the guy next year and get more snaps? Maybe, but as a 7th-round pick who's not going to play literally at all his rookie year, it's such a tough climb to get in there and try to make a roster your second year, and who knows what the quarterback room is going to look like next year either. Do you really hang your hat on Oldokun, a guy that you know little about aside from just the classroom work kind of stuff? I'm not going to rant about it too much. They're doing it the right way in the sense of I understand Oldokun cannot get reps right now. You have to give it to the guys that are competing and playing and all that kind of stuff, but it just goes back to, you could have gotten a fourth quarterback through a different avenue that did not require burning a draft pick.
And now you're going to, look, do you need 4 quarterbacks technically at this point on a 85-man roster? I mean, especially when one isn't doing anything, it feels kind of unfair for somebody's chances in there, Yeah,
I mean, they're going to keep Oldokun. I don't expect him to be cut on this cut down. But the question is, I mean, I assume they're going to put him on the practice squad, but what basis do you give that other than, well, we drafted him and we haven't played him, so we're just going to put him on there for now?
Unless you just like his raw skill set, do you think he can portray some of these other, more mobile quarterbacks that you're going to face, and on the skill. But anyway, he can run scout team, but right.
you can bring in other guys during the week to do that kind of stuff they have before. I mean, it's. I just feel for the kid. I mean, just not getting even the chance. I mean, that just got to suck for him.
All right. I'm not going to have you beat that horse anymore. I think we got through all the emails here. Well, I know we spent a good 50 or so minutes probably on I'm amazed we got this done in an hour and a half, to be quite honest with you. But I think we covered a lot there. You will be back at training camp on Monday. All fresh and ready to go. And then you and I will wrap up the Monday practice in a special edition podcast Monday night. And then after that, there will be 3 practices remaining. And then their next preseason game is next Saturday. Right? Yeah, Jacksonville.
Yeah, the away game, right? The only away game.
August 20th against the Jaguars there. So we'll have a lot to talk about on later on Monday night when Alex gets back from training camp practice. Maybe we'll have an update on some of these injuries. Maybe we'll see how it goes there. So in the meantime, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast. Let's see. You can follow me at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. And if you'd like to donate, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button. If you want an ad-free version, hit the ad-free button, upper right navigational bar as well, too. And as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.